After a trial that had lasted some 4 months, Adolf Eichmann has had his defense rejected. He's been judged guilty of the major crimes in this indictment.
Particulars of offense. The accused, together with others, during the period 1939 to 1945, caused the killing of millions of Jews in his capacity as the person responsible for the execution of the Nazi plan for the physical extermination of the Jews, known as the final solution of the Jewish problem.
The trapdoor opens. For a brief, suffocating moment, there's silence. And then, a sound. A sound that will haunt the men who were there, long after the last breath escapes. Adolf Eichmann, the architect of death, meets the same fate he orchestrated for millions. But in those final moments, the line between justice and brutality blurs. On May 23, 1960, in Buenos Aires, Argentina, Israeli agents captured a man who had been evading justice for over a decade. Adolf Eichmann, one of the most notorious figures behind the Holocaust, had been responsible for organizing the deportation of millions to concentration camps. Living under a false identity, Eichmann had escaped to Argentina after the war, but his past was about to catch up with him. The operation, carried out by Mossad, Israel's intelligence agency, was the culmination of a global manhunt. Eichmann's capture set the stage for a trial that would change the world's understanding of war crimes and how to deal with perpetrators of such atrocities. But in those final moments, the line between justice and brutality blurs. As the trial began, questions emerged. Can a single man be held accountable for the magnitude of the Holocaust? And how does one seek justice for such unspeakable crimes? This documentary will explore the steps taken to find Eichmann, the trial's lasting impact, and the people left with the heavy burden of confronting the past.
If you're moved by this story, if you understand the weight of history and justice, then don't just watch and walk away. This documentary is a journey into the depths of humanity's darkest moments, and it deserves to be shared. Please, take a moment to subscribe so you never miss another story that reveals the truth we all need to hear. And we want to know where you're watching from. Drop a comment below. Your perspective matters. But if you're still on the fence about subscribing, please let us know why in the comments. We want to hear your thoughts. Together, we can start a conversation about the past and what we learn from it. Don't wait. Subscribe now. We promise you'll be part of something that matters. Adolf Eichmann was born in 1906 in Solingen, Germany. His early life was unremarkable, but his ambitions led him to join the SS in 1932, setting the stage for his eventual rise within the Nazi regime. Eichmann's real prominence came with his role in the Reich Main Security Office's Department 4B4, where he became responsible for overseeing the deportation of Jews across Europe. He was not just a passive participant. Eichmann was a key figure in organizing the mass transportation of Jewish people to ghettos and concentration camps, playing a central role in the execution of Nazi policies. Eichmann's actions were driven by his belief in duty rather than ideology. His methodical and efficient approach to his responsibilities made him an indispensable figure in the Nazi administration. He later claimed that he was merely following orders during his trial. But the facts told a different story. He was integral to the logistical planning of the Holocaust. After the war, Eichmann was captured by U.S. forces, but escaped to Argentina, where he lived under the alias Ricardo Clement. For years, his past remained hidden, but Eichmann's life would eventually unravel, leading to his capture by Mossad in 1960. His trial in Israel would expose the full extent of his involvement in one of history's greatest atrocities. Adolf Eichmann's actions had a profound and lasting impact on millions of lives.
His role in the Nazi regime's orchestration of the final solution is a chapter of history that continues to shape the world's understanding of war crimes. Eichmann's logistical role in the deportation and transportation of Jews during World War II led to countless tragedies that would echo through generations. The survivors who witnessed and experienced the horrors orchestrated by Eichmann became crucial voices during the trial that would bring him to justice. Their testimonies exposed the depths of the suffering and loss caused by his policies. The survivors' accounts were not just a reflection of personal trauma. They became a vital piece of the puzzle in understanding the true extent of Eichmann's involvement in the Holocaust. Prominent figures like Elie Wiesel spoke out, offering their experiences to ensure that the scale of the atrocity was never forgotten. These voices, among many others, were instrumental in portraying Eichmann not just as a bureaucratic functionary, but as a key architect of the systemic destruction of millions.
Eichmann's actions left a mark on the world, one that would shape the course of history and the pursuit of justice. His trial was seen as a moment to confront the darkness of the past, and the testimonies from Holocaust survivors provided the world with a clear and unforgettable view of the human cost of Eichmann's role in the war. After World War II ended, Adolf Eichmann's connection to the atrocities of the Nazi regime was undeniable, but his capture was far from certain. In the chaos that followed Germany's surrender, Eichmann, like many of his fellow Nazis, sought to escape retribution. He initially hid in Austria, but was determined to avoid detection as Allied forces scoured Europe for war criminals. In 1950, Eichmann successfully fled to Argentina under the alias Ricardo Clement, joining a community of former Nazis and sympathizers who had already begun establishing themselves in the region. Eichmann's new life in Argentina was one of quiet obscurity. He worked menial jobs in Buenos Aires, living in a modest home and carefully maintaining his low profile. To the outside world, he was just another emigrant trying to rebuild his life after the war. But for Eichmann, his life in hiding was never without anxiety. His past was constantly lurking, and he could never be fully free from the possibility that someone would recognize him. While Eichmann thought he had outrun his past, the network of Nazi hunters, Holocaust survivors, and investigators relentlessly searched for those who had escaped justice. By 1957, his identity had been discovered. However, it would take another 3 years before Israeli intelligence, Mossad, would locate him in 1960. Eichmann, who had spent years executing the orders of the Nazi regime, would soon find himself facing a reckoning he had long believed he had avoided. The hunt for Adolf Eichmann was thorough and relentless. After years of evading capture, Eichmann's fate would soon be determined by a focused team of Israeli agents. In the mid-1950s, a breakthrough came in the investigation. Eichmann, under the alias Ricardo Clement, was believed to be in Argentina. However, uncovering the exact location of such a well-hidden figure would take time and effort.
Mossad, Israel's intelligence agency, took on the challenge, led by Isser Harel, the agency's director at the time. The investigation began with little more than a hunch, but the agents worked tirelessly, following leads and gathering pieces of the puzzle. The team was aware of Eichmann's ability to conceal his identity and knew that even a small mistake could jeopardize the entire operation. In 1957, a significant lead surfaced, confirming Eichmann's presence in Buenos Aires. By this time, Mossad agents, along with the Jewish agency and various other operatives, began monitoring Eichmann's movements. They kept him under surveillance, working covertly, and ensuring they had the evidence they needed before taking action. The breakthrough came in 1959, when agents were able to confirm that Eichmann was living in Argentina. After years of gathering intelligence, Mossad agents were ready to make their move. In May 1960, the decision was made. A team of operatives was dispatched to Argentina to capture Eichmann and bring him to Israel to stand trial for his crimes. Eichmann's capture was swift, and he was taken from the streets of Buenos Aires. His time on the run had come to an end, and the world would soon learn the details of his role in the Holocaust. The investigation had uncovered the truth and brought Eichmann's name back into the light, starting a new chapter in the pursuit of justice. On April 11, 1961, the trial of Adolf Eichmann began in Jerusalem. For the first time, the world would witness a legal battle that would not only focus on one man's responsibility, but also bring the horrors of the Holocaust to the global stage. The trial was held in the Binyani Ha'uma building, an intimidating structure designed to reflect the gravity of the proceedings. The Israeli public watched as Eichmann entered the courtroom, a man who had lived in hiding for over a decade. His trial was a monumental event, one that would redefine how the world understood accountability for war crimes.
Eichmann, who had managed to escape justice for so many years, now found himself in the spotlight. His defense was simple. He was just following orders. His lawyer, Robert Servatius, argued that Eichmann was merely a cog in a machine, a bureaucrat with no personal responsibility for the atrocities carried out under his direction. But this defense didn't sit well with the court, or with the world. Eichmann's meticulous role in organizing the deportation of millions could not be brushed aside as mere obedience. The prosecution, led by Gideon Hausner, painted a very different picture. Hausner famously told the court, "I stand before you today with 6 million accusers, but they cannot rise to their feet, point an accusing finger at this man, and cry out, 'I accuse.'" His words resonated across the courtroom. The victims of Eichmann's crimes may not be able to speak, but the evidence, the testimonies of survivors, and the weight of history were louder than ever. The trial lasted for several months, with Eichmann remaining calm and composed. But as witnesses, survivors of the Holocaust, took the stand, the true depth of his actions became clear. The courtroom was filled with chilling accounts of the deportations, the separation of families, and the death camps Eichmann helped organize. Eichmann's blank stare and lack of remorse sent a clear message. He felt no personal responsibility for the destruction he had facilitated. It wasn't until December 15, 1961, that the court delivered its verdict. Eichmann was found guilty on numerous charges of crimes against humanity, and the sentence was clear: death by hanging. On December 15, 1961, the court found Adolf Eichmann guilty on multiple charges, including crimes against humanity. His role in organizing mass deportations during the Holocaust had been thoroughly documented throughout the trial. The verdict marked a significant moment in history, not just for Eichmann, but for the victims of his actions, as it symbolized a step towards accountability for the atrocities of the Nazi regime.
Eichmann's sentencing was swift and clear: death by hanging. This decision carried immense weight. For Israel, it was not just about one man's fate, but about the larger question of justice. In the aftermath of the trial, there were intense debates within the Israeli government about the use of capital punishment. Some believed the death sentence was necessary to send a message about the consequences of war crimes. Others argued that executing Eichmann raised moral concerns, questioning whether Israel should engage in the same practices as the Nazi regime. Despite these debates, the death sentence stood. Eichmann was executed on June 1, 1962, bringing closure to the trial, but also marking a moment of deep reflection on how justice for crimes of such scale should be approached. The trial and its aftermath would forever change the way the world viewed accountability for war crimes. On June 1, 1962, Adolf Eichmann's execution was carried out at Ramla prison in Israel. The responsibility fell to Shalom Nagar, a prison guard who had never expected to be in such a position. Chosen for his role as the executioner, Nagar struggled with the moral complexity of the task. Despite the clarity of Eichmann's guilt, the emotional burden of executing a man who had played such a significant role in one of history's most devastating events was not easily borne. Nagar later described how the weight of the action deeply affected him, a burden he would carry long after the event. The situation was further complicated by the involvement of Pinchas Zaklovsky, a Holocaust survivor. Zaklovsky had built the cremation oven that was to be used after Eichmann's death. The connection between Eichmann's crimes and Zaklovsky's personal history added another layer of emotional complexity to the execution. For Zaklovsky, the act of contributing to the process of Eichmann's death was a powerful and painful reminder of his own past.
For Nagar, the psychological toll was immense. Although the execution was seen as justice, the emotional aftermath would not leave him. Nagar faced psychological distress for years, grappling with feelings of doubt and moral conflict. The trauma of carrying out Eichmann's death stayed with him, a reminder of the difficult line between justice and personal toll, one that continued to haunt him long after the event had passed. The execution of Adolf Eichmann left a lasting psychological impact on those who carried out the sentence. Shalom Nagar, the man tasked with executing Eichmann, faced immense emotional distress. Chosen for a role he never expected, Nagar later confessed that carrying out the execution weighed heavily on him. Despite Eichmann's responsibility for horrific crimes, Nagar struggled with the moral implications of his actions. The internal conflict was difficult for him to reconcile, and he would later speak about how it haunted him for years. Post-traumatic stress disorder, PTSD, became a significant part of his life, as the psychological toll of executing a man, no matter the circumstances, stayed with him long after the act had passed. Nagar's experience shows the complexities faced by those asked to perform such actions, even when the individual is responsible for immense atrocities. Pinchas Zaklovsky, a Holocaust survivor who had endured unimaginable suffering, was another individual deeply affected by Eichmann's execution. Zaklovsky had played a symbolic role in the process, having built the cremation oven that would be used after Eichmann's death. His involvement in the execution brought him face to face with his past and forced him to confront the reality of justice and retribution. For Zaklovsky, the task was personal and emotional, as the pain of his own past was brought to the surface once again.
On a global scale, Eichmann's execution sparked widespread debate about the morality of state-sponsored justice. Some argued it was necessary to send a clear message, while others questioned the use of the death penalty. Eichmann's execution also marked a turning point in how the world would approach war criminals. The case reinforced the idea that, even after many years, those responsible for crimes of such magnitude could still be held accountable. It became a milestone in the global fight for justice and accountability in war crimes, emphasizing the ongoing need to confront the actions of those who commit atrocities. Adolf Eichmann's trial and execution were pivotal moments in history, symbolizing the global commitment to justice and accountability for war crimes. Eichmann's death served as a powerful reminder that, no matter how much time has passed, individuals who are responsible for such atrocities must face consequences. His execution was not only a matter of retribution, but also a testament to the resilience of the global fight against injustice, sending a message that such crimes would never go unpunished. The trial and its aftermath also sparked critical debates within Israel about the use of capital punishment. While Eichmann's death sentence was seen by some as essential for delivering justice, others questioned the ethics of state-sanctioned execution. This debate would influence Israel's legal approach to capital punishment in the years that followed, shaping its future decisions on matters of justice. Eichmann's execution had a profound legacy, setting a precedent for future war crimes trials and reinforcing the global imperative of holding perpetrators accountable. It became a symbol of the ongoing need for justice, not just for the victims, but for the world as a whole, ensuring that such acts of cruelty would always be confronted and that the fight for accountability would continue to inspire future generations. If you've been moved by Eichmann's story, the pursuit of justice, and the long-lasting impact of his trial, don't forget to subscribe. This case isn't just a moment in history. It's a reminder that justice must be pursued no matter how long it takes. Subscribe now to stay informed on more true crime stories, where we continue to uncover the events that shape the world we live in today. We want to hear from you. Comment below and let us know what you think about Eichmann's execution. Was justice truly served? Or is there more to the story? And if you're not subscribed yet, please let us know why. We value your thoughts and would love to engage with you. Join us in the conversation. Subscribe, comment, and be part of the journey to uncover the truth.